Hey everyone, this is Crystal. Today I would like to do something a little different than I usually do. I would actually like to make a video response to Media Skeptic's fourth posted episode entitled Out of Context, or the YouTube title for it, I guess in like the YouTube title section, is actually episode 3, Fraudulent Interview Editing. Now, excuse me if I keep looking away from you. I have just some notes typed out because I'm going to be doing some direct quotes. When I do direct quotes, I really hate to say them wrong, or just not to get the quote right. It bothers me, and it bothers me when other people do it. So if I'm going to say that someone said something, I'd like to use their exact words. Anyway, enough about me, moving on. In this video, Media Skeptic reviews 2 reporter interviews. And he's reviewing these specifically for something that he talks about, and that thing being fraudulent interview editing. Yeah, that's what it's called. Sorry, kind of today. Fraudulent interview editing. Fraudulent interview editing is when you take a clip of an interview, whether that be a sound clip or video clip, and you cut it up into pieces, and you arrange it in such a way that, or you just remove things and make it appear in such a way that it gives off the impression that you want others to receive, rather than what maybe the person being interviewed was trying to have people receive. So it's really just a very dishonest thing to do, thus the word fraudulent. So here in Media Skeptic's video, we have 2 situations that he talks about. The first one is, or 2 reporter interviews, and the first one is from a Chicago CPS local news station, and the second one is from CBS, and it shows a clip of Mike Wallace interviewing an Iranian president. So we'll go over those one at a time. Let's talk about the first situation first. In the first situation, a reporter goes out to the scene of a gang crime and interviews witnesses to see what their reactions are to that crime. The news reporter in the studio, like when you're watching TV and there's the ominous voice and they're like, and then this happened, and then you see a video clip or something like that. That's the voice I'm referring to here. The reporter in the studio states that the reactions are disturbing, and what you see immediately after that is a young boy who viewers are led to believe is about 4, saying that when he's grown up, he's going to have a gun himself. The footage is cut up in such a way that it really gives the viewer the impression that he'd like to join in on the gang activity, but when you see the rest of the footage, you hear the young man say he's going to have a gun because he's going to be the police. The second clip you see is of a girl who speaks of not wanting her family to get hurt. Now, the footage shows her making that statement, but she begins that statement with the word because. They imply she also wants to join in on the violence, but there's no footage to prove that. There's none at all. She could have been saying, next time I see something like this, I'm calling the cops because I live right there and I don't want my family getting hurt. She could have said, I'm not getting involved with any gangs because I live right over there and I don't want my family to get hurt. She could have said anything like that. But there's some obvious media bias right here, used with the intention, in my opinion, of supporting the bias that families that live in gang communities all want in on the action and are all growing up to be troublemakers. So that's a really big difference. Now you think of the first kid who is trying to say he wants to be a police officer, help control the gang activity, maybe help lessen it, and they make it look like he's saying he wants to grow up and join it. So that's pretty bad, in my opinion. That's just really bad. Very dishonest. And I kind of feel bad for the kid, like what if he were to see that someday and be like, oh man, I totally didn't say that. It wouldn't really feel good to see yourself on TV, saying something that you didn't say. So that is another story. But let's go ahead and move on to the second thing that we talked about, the CBS interview with the Iranian president. When the reporter in the second bit of this video questioned an Iranian president, that president responded with a clear explanation of government reform, not of wiping a city off the face of the earth via war. So all the media shows is the reporter stating that the president is good at filibustering, and that the president has not answered his question, which immediately creates a sense that the president is avoiding telling the truth, or that he's dishonest, or that you can't really trust him because he's avoiding questions. And we all know how that goes in interviews and stuff. So the media doesn't show any evidence that this man had actually been filibustering. They don't show anything that happens before the reporter makes that statement. And the reporter isn't just kind of like, oh, you're avoiding my question. He explicitly says, you were very good at filibustering, and he says, you're avoiding the question. And so the question was, it said, Israel must be wiped off the map. Why? Now, the media then shows only a small portion of this president's response, insinuating that it was all he had to say before moving on to a new subject. What the president said was this. He said, I think that the Israeli government is a fabricated government. The video clip is immediately cut off after that, immediately. And this gives the viewer the impression that the president believes Israel should be cut off the map because it is a fabricated government. Now that's pretty bad. It's just like, oh, I think this government's fabricated. Let's just completely wipe the city off the face of the earth. They really give you the impression that that's what this man was saying. But if you watch the rest of the clip, or even a portion of, that interview, from that point onward, it's made it available to you on 60 seconds, and you can see that Media Skeptic's video as well. You'll see that my previous statement was true, that the president responded with a clear explanation of government reform, not of wiping a city off the face of the earth via war. He does not say Israel is a fabricated government, so let's kill them all. What he says is that the government has become fabricated, so maybe it would be good to change it. Or maybe democracy would be better. He talks a lot about democracy and how the people should have a voice. And so it's just, really, the media made him look really, really bad. Now, whether or not a viewer believes this president, whether or not a viewer thinks he's being honest or revealing his true intentions, that's up to the viewer. We can all form our own opinions about the people that we see, but, we don't have to agree with him. We don't have to agree with what he's saying is a better form of government. We don't have to believe that he's really displaying his true self. Maybe he's putting on a front, We can form our own opinions, but we should be very, very careful when deciding to come to a conclusion about a situation described to us in the media, because this fraudulent video editing is something that you see all the time. You'll be watching an interview, and then it'll fade to another clip, and it'll fade to another clip, and you're only getting pieces of the conversation, so try to keep your eyes open. What are they trying to get me to feel? What could really have happened here? Don't just take it as they give it to you, because they're going to give it to you however they want you to receive it. So in this second situation, covered by Media Skeptic, it was actually the American reporter who, in my opinion, committed the worser crime if the president was lying in the first place. He may not have committed a crime at all. What's worse, to tell a lie or to intentionally walk someone into a corner with the single-minded intention of making him out to be a liar when you yourself are telling a string of lies in order to achieve a personal reward. We'll say it that way, because the reporter who did this video actually received an award for this, even though, there was some video editing in there that was not appropriate. He received a reward anyway, and that was brought to light and didn't matter. He got an award for it. So what that really makes me think of is how we are receiving the media as Americans. What is our response as a society to media bias? Do we deny that bias? Do we reject the bias? Do we refuse it entirely, or do we reward the bias? When the bias in the media reflects our own personal opinions, are we as Americans speaking up against it and requesting truth and clarification on a situation? Or are we saying, thank you, sir, for your dishonesty, because now my friends and neighbors think I'm right. You gave them, you edited a video and made it look good, and you made it support my personal beliefs and opinions. So thank you, I don't care if you lied, because now I look like I'm right. You know, is that what we're doing? Think about it. Because I think all of us sometimes view media bias that is in our favor and don't really care if it's biased information or not. We're just glad that it supports what we want to be happening or what we think is actually going on. So that's just something that I myself am going to try and be more careful about now. And I hope that those of you that are watching this video and have seen Media Skeptic's video will also take into consideration. I hope that you will think about the things that he's showing you and the things that you see. I'd like to say a really big thank you to Media Skeptic for the videos that he's making. I've watched all of them up to this point, and I really, really appreciate people that are willing to pull out the facts before forming an opinion. So I appreciate the voice that Media Skeptic gives to all the humble seekers of truth, if you will, who are really just looking for truth, not bias. I look forward to seeing what he has to say in the future. And thank you for watching. That's all I really have to say on the matter. I hope that you will continue to visit his page and see what else he has to say. What is that? I don't think that's a word. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and go watch the rest of his videos if you haven't seen them yet. Thanks. Bye.